Ruben, you make lots of changes from match to match so far, and obviously you've explained why. But are you any closer to understanding what your best lineup can be now?
We'll get back to Ruben Amorim in just a quick second. But remember, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you've got anything to say, please put it in the comments. I am very keen to hear what you, my viewers, have to say about Ruben Amorim, Manchester United, and anything to do whatsoever with this season, previous seasons, your thoughts, your opinions, anything at all to do with Manchester United or the state of football. Or if you just want to disagree with me, that's fine by me too. And also, while you are watching this particular video, I want you to think about this question. What is, in your opinion, Manchester United's best 11? Stick around for afterwards and I will tell you what I think Manchester United's best 11 is. And please put your 11s in the comments. Here's Ruben.
Ruben, you make lots of changes from match to match so far, and obviously you've explained why. But are you any closer to understanding what your best lineup can be now?
More or less, yes. You have an idea, but then we have the problems that players returning without training, and then you have to manage the load. So we have always the same problem, and then you have to imagine and to understand what kind of player you have. Like Bruno Fernandes, you feel it against Arsenal. In the end, he was a little bit tired, but you know that he is going to recover very well. If you think about Manuel Ugarte, I know him for so long. I know that sometimes he needs a little bit more time. So we are in that process to know the players and try to manage that. But we are getting closer to an idea, yes.
Ricky. Ruben, you obviously a squad and the players are coming back and they're getting themselves fit now. Are you learning about your players every single day, or are you learning more on a match day? Because you're changing the squad rotation quite a lot at the moment. Are you learning about your players moving forward of who you can trust on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I trust in every one of them. What I'm understanding in the training, in the games, and each position they play better. In what kind of situation is better for you, one guy or to another? These things I need to be close to them. I need to see the games in the dugout, as you say, not in TV. So I'm learning. And I think we as a staff are learning really fast what they are able to do or not. So we are trying to find out everything in a fast pace.
I've said before, I think Manchester United have an absolutely fantastic squad. This is the best squad that we have had since Alex Ferguson's time at the club. I think it's full of I think it's got a nice blend of players in their prime, players on the cusp of their prime, players with experience, and players who are still developing and who have lots of potential. So, for instance, the players with lots of experience, I mean, you've got Casemiro, you've got Johnny Evans, you've got players in their prime, Onana, Bruno Fernandes, and Marcus Rashford, even though he's been out of form. You've also got players on the cusp of their prime, such as Ugarte, Rasmus Højlund, and who else could you put in that bracket? I don't know, maybe the rest of them are players with lots of potential, such as like Diallo, Garnacho, Kobe Mainoo as well. Point is, the squad's looking good. And the only issue is we need to figure out a way of getting these players to gel and play well together. Okay. Now, because we've got such a diverse squad, I think we have two starting 11s which are very, very good, almost equal to one another, and depending on who we play will depend on which starting 11 should be utilised. Now, here's mine. So starting 11 number 1. Now, starting 11 number 1, I think starting 11 is when we are playing a team that is on paper better than us. Okay? So, this is the team that I think we probably should have played against Arsenal. Because at the moment, Arsenal are better than us. Only because they have been playing together for a little bit longer than this team has, and they've been with the same manager for however long, and so they're very well drilled in their system, and we're just not quite there yet. But we have better players, I would say. Anyway, I digress. So when we are playing against a team that is better than us, such as Arsenal and Man City, for instance, or any of the big European clubs, perhaps, or the Scousers even, I think the starting 11 should be thus. The back three, Mazraoui, De Ligt and Martinez. Goalie, obviously, it's Onana. Now, wing-backs, always Dalot on the right, Luke Shaw on the left, when fit. Now, this is where the difference happens for me. So in squad number 1, starting 11 number 1, the 2 central midfielders for me against strong opposition are Casemiro and Ugarte, because we want to dominate the midfield. That is what I would do. So if De Bruyne is there, we want someone to close down De Bruyne. If Odegaard's there, we want someone to close down Odegaard. We want 2 destroyers in midfield to break up play and then pass it to the forward players to hit teams on the counter-attack. Now, with that team, we can absorb the pressure quite easily. We've got the players who are good enough to do that against any team if they're well drilled enough. And then we can just blitz teams on the counter by passing to the full-backs, who can also come back, but they can also come forward, and then they can pass it through to the 3 attacking players. Casemiro and Ugarte. Now, the 3 forward players would be, in my opinion, 2 of them have to have pace, and 1 of them needs to be creative. So the creative player is obviously Bruno Fernandes. That's who I would play. And I would play Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund. Because obviously we need a big target man up front. Rasmus Højlund can do that. He can hold up play. He can lay it off for players. He can sort of pass to Garnacho, who can then feed him in, and he can feed Garnacho in. He can pass to Bruno, turn and run, and Bruno can slot him in. That kind of thing. But the point being, if we're playing teams that are better than us, we can absorb the pressure with the 2 destroyers in midfield, and then they can pass to Bruno, who can then unleash Garnacho or Højlund. Now, what's good about this particular forward line is it's quite malleable. So it's almost like 1 number 10 and 2 number 9s, almost. But Garnacho can obviously drop back as well. And then it's 2 number 10s and 1 number 9. But it's quite fluid, just depending on how the team breaks forward. Now, I mean, we've still got Diallo to come in there. We can have Mason Mount backing up Bruno as well in case of injuries. But the point is that style is probably best utilised against the better sides. And that would be my starting 11 for Manchester United when we play better sides. Now, there's also the teams that we play who park the bus. Now, in this instance, we can't really play on the counter-attack. So players like Rashford and Garnacho are almost null and void in this instance because they are not necessarily creative enough to be able to unlock these teams that park the bus, and their close control isn't that great. They're better utilised playing on the counter, which they can play to devastating effect. So in this instance, we need a team that can unpick, unlock, break down a stubborn, low block team. Okay? So the starting 11, when we are playing teams who we are better than, who are parking the bus, would be thus. So the defence and the goal is the same. It's the same. It's Onana in goal, it's Martinez, De Ligt and Mazraoui in defence. Fullbacks, same. So I'd have Luke Shaw on the left and Dalot on the right. In midfield, in this instance, I would play Ugarte and Kobbie Mainoo. Now, we still have the defensive duties for Casemiro, but we've got the intricate play from Mainoo that can help the forward line unpick a stubborn defence. And he can move forward, he can drop back, just depending on the transition in the play. He's a good link man between defence and attack as well. He can play anywhere up the middle of the park. So he can play as a number 6, he can play as a number 8, and he can probably play as a number 10 as well. Although I wouldn't necessarily say he's a specialist at either, but he's still very good at all three. Okay, so Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro will be the two central midfielders in my starting 11 for Manchester United against a team that we are better than, which leaves the front three. Now the front three would be, number 9 would clearly be Rasmus Højlund. He's always going to be the number 9 for me. I think he's our only number 9, really. But I think he could potentially be one of the best number 9s in world football if he fulfills his potential. He showed glimmers of it so far, and I think he'll only get better and better. And he's big, he's strong, he's quick, he can hold the ball up. He'd be a handful for any central defenders in the Premier League. He suits the Premier League to the ground, and he will cause havoc in the box, especially on corners and all of that good stuff. Now, Bruno Fernandes is going to be one of the number 10s. It's always going to be Bruno Fernandes, which leaves the other number 10 position. Well, it's either going to be, for me, Mason Mount or Joshua Zirkzee. I am going to pick Joshua Zirkzee. Now, for the simple reason that he can also play as number 9. Okay? So, again, it makes that front three malleable. So we can do Bruno Fernandes as one number 10 and then 2 number 9s. 2 big lads like Joshua Zirkzee and Rasmus Højlund can cause havoc in a low block defence. On corners, moving forward, holding up play, all of that good stuff. Now, he's also good enough on the ball, Joshua Zirkzee that is, to play intricate passes as well. We've already seen glimmers of it. I mean, the ball that he slid in for Amad Diallo against Everton, and unfortunately Diallo missed, it was a world-class piece of passing. He slotted it through about 8 players or something like that. So if he's got the ability to pick a pass like that, he can do that kind of stuff in the box. Perhaps Mason Mount can get to that point moving forward, and he can be one of the other number 10s, maybe. But at the moment, I would play Joshua Zirkzee. Just because, as I say, it makes that front three a little bit more malleable. And Mason Mount can play as a backup to Bruno Fernandes if injured, and also Kobbie Mainoo as well. Because I think Mason Mount is probably better utilised as a number 8. So in conclusion, there are 2 starting 11s which are just as strong as each other for Manchester United that I would pick. The only difference being I'd play one against one kind of opposition, I'd play another against another kind of opposition. Opposition number 1 is teams who are better than us, and that starting 11 is thus: Onana in goal, and then we've got Mazraoui, we've got De Ligt, we've also got Martinez. 2 full-backs, Luke Shaw, Diogo Dalot. 2 central midfielders will be Ugarte, Casemiro. And then we'd have Bruno Fernandes, Alejandro Garnacho, and Rasmus Højlund playing, absorbing pressure and then hitting those teams on the counter-attack. Option number 2, against the sides who we are on paper better than, the teams who play in a low block. The starting 11 for there, in conclusion, is Onana in goal, Mazraoui, De Ligt, and Martinez in defence. The wing-backs, Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot. 2 central midfielders, are Casemiro. No, sorry, not Casemiro. Ugarte and Kobe Minu. And then we have Joshua Zirkzee, Bruno Fernandes, and we've got Rasmus Højlund as the number 9. And they are there to unlock, unpick, cause havoc when teams are playing on the low block. Those are my 2 starting 11s for Manchester United against those 2 kinds of sides. But what do you guys think? If you've stayed this long into the video, then surely you are committed to hearing my opinion. And if you are committed to hearing my opinion, I am committed to hearing yours. So please put your starting 11 in the comments section. Anyway, that's the big day for this particular video. Stay tuned for more.